Good evening. It is my pleasure to bring you RUI Informed, our virtual webinar series for RUI University's October 2025 presenter. We are going to be talking about fall into wellness, staying strong as seasons shift, physical and mental seasonal shifts, and how to stay healthy. It is my pleasure to talk to our very own RUI fellow and have her present tonight, Miss Amanda Stanfield, a registered nurse, certified dementia practitioner, and all around great person. I hope that you are engaged. She is a professional nurse who offers experience in delivering quality healthcare service, including a proven successful management operations and personnel work background. Her experience is of being our very own Vice President of Clinical Services for Retirement Unlimited Incorporated. So listen well, engage is even more important. And please, if you have questions during the live stream, do not hesitate to ask in our question and answer box. We will answer live in or our chat. We are looking forward, and I'm going to turn it over now to Miss Stanfield. Welcome, Amanda. So glad to have you.
Hello, everyone. Miss Cleo, thank you so much for such a warm introduction. I really do appreciate that. I am excited to be here this evening. And as Cleo said, we will be talking about ways to stay strong as the seasons shift. Again, I appreciate you being here with me tonight. And I do hope you find this information informative as we continue into the fall season and head into winter of 2025. There we go. So, to get us started this evening, I first want to share as I started working on this topic, my first thought to myself was I am definitely somebody that could learn from the information that I'll be sharing with you tonight. I personally am a summertime girl. I like hot sun. I like palm trees. I like blue skies. I like sand in my toes and ocean waves at my feet, all the things. So when you take that away and you put in place of it frigid temperatures, wind that blows right through you, combined with the sunsets creeping in on my daytime hours, I am not as happy of a camper as I am when we're talking like mid-July. I know everybody doesn't feel that way, but that's definitely me. So this evening we're going to talk about five wellness areas that may shift, that will shift with the season that could impact how we are feeling mentally, physically, all the things, and ways to combat that, keeping us strong. These five areas that we're going to talk about today, you see here, increase in illness that comes along with season change, or decrease in activity because the temperatures drop and we're staying inside more. Daylight savings time, I talked about starting encroaching on more. What gave me back my son? Stress of the holidays, both financial and emotional. And then for some of us, man, we start to dive into those comfort foods for sure. So those are the areas that we'll be focusing on while we're together this evening. So first, let's talk about increased illness. You see here on the screen on the left-hand side, a comparison chart between flu, common cold, and COVID-19. Flu is considered one of the most common infectious diseases, impacting 20 to 40 million in the US each year. As you can see here, the flu, COVID, common cold have very similar symptoms that range in severity. To really know if you do come down with an illness, which one of these you may have, the best is to see a provider and get tested to determine which one of these illnesses you may have and how to treat it. One small difference is the time of year that these illnesses are more prevalent. And as we're talking about falling into fall, winter, and seasonal changes, flu and COVID-19 season peaks October through May. So here we are, right? The mid of October. We are definitely in one of those peak seasons for flu and COVID-19. Flu has the highest number of cases December to January, so we're headed into that. And then COVID-19, December, I'm sorry, uh, sorry about that. The flu is December to February, and then COVID-19 December to January. So they kind of compound each other and show up in all of their glory about the same time. So we're headed that way. The shift in the seasons come about because of patterns in the weather that change when we're talking about moving into fall and winter that allows these illnesses to be more vibrant and, of course, cause more illness amongst us. Some of those seasonal patterns that drive this cover a couple different broad categories. One of those is the environmental conditions, lower temperatures, lower humidity, which many of us tend to celebrate that part, allow respiratory droplets that we may cough or sneeze that are carrying these viruses to last longer in the air and on surfaces. So that then allows more people to come in contact with them and possibly find themselves ill. Immune susceptibility is another area that changes because of that dry and cold air. It reduces moisture, which then causes moisture reduction in us, in our nasal passages, and in our upper airway. And because of that, our immune system, our first line of defense, is compromised a little bit and not able to sweep some of these viruses out of the upper respiratory tract, therefore allowing them to get nice and deep and settle in, causing that wonderful mucus and congestion. The other one is behavioral patterns that I kind of mentioned, and we'll talk a little bit more about as the presentation goes on, but more time inside, less good ventilation, increased gatherings such as around the holidays, and increased travel, maybe around those holidays as well, can increase our likelihood of the spread of illnesses. So, how do we stay healthy during that time? On the right-hand side of your screen there, you see a few recommendations of ways we can stay healthy. Of course, washing our hands is our first line of defense when we're talking about infection control. Soap and water is best. Seeing your ABCs, happy birthdays, all those things. Good friction between your fingers, nails, all that good stuff. Sanitizer is also an option, especially if your hands are not visibly soiled. If you find yourself in an area where you're sanitizing often, after about 2 or 3 uses of sanitizer, you would want to convert to soap and water to really make sure you're getting the best benefit of hand washing. Of course, avoid being around those that are sick if at all possible. Once it's in the home, that might be a little bit more difficult to do. So then you would want to use good cleansers and bacterial type agents to help kill those infections on high traffic areas, doorknobs, light switches, our cell phones. Dirty, dirty, dirty. Also avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth, especially if you can't wash your hands in that moment. We want to stay away from the areas that allow those germs to get inside and share our personal space with us. Also avoid sharing straws, eating utensils, things that we know could have saliva on them or bodily fluids on them that are infected. And then if you feel as though wearing a mask is appropriate, we've all learned during COVID how that can help reduce the spread of infection. That still lives true, even though COVID, we're not in the same place we were in 2020. Mask wearing is still a great protective barrier for us. And then vaccines are available for flu, COVID, and many other vaccinations that are out there that are available to you as well. All right, decrease in activity. That's another area in which we could find ourselves. Combination of environmental, physiological, behavioral factors increase our risk for illness during seasonal shifts into these colder months. And when people gather and spend more increased time indoors to avoid that chill, viruses can spread more easily, negatively impacting more people. So viruses thrive in this dry, cold air. Increase that indoor crowding, definitely in closer proximity. And then we add in the potential for poor ventilation because our windows and doors aren't open as much. Traffic isn't coming and going in and out of the home maybe as much during these winter months and colder months. And then our own decreased physical activity because we tend to want to hibernate could definitely lead to our risk for becoming unhealthy. So how do we stay healthy when we're looking at decreased activity because of some of these risk factors? Increasing the ventilation by opening doors and windows when the weather permits, of course. So some of these days, especially right now, like today, was beautiful outside. So we are in the fall time, but great day to open those windows and doors and let some of that fresh air circulate. So that really helps us. Also, small amounts even at a time is beneficial. Using exhaust fans in your kitchen and bathrooms, turning those exhaust fans on, even if you're not cooking, does help pull air from the home and get it outside. So it might not be something you typically think about to help with ventilation, but can really help in the home when we can't get those windows and doors open. Upgrading your HVAC filters, high efficiency filters in your HVAC system surely do help, and changing those filters out routinely to keep them clean and at their best filtration ability as possible. And then consider setting your fan to an on position to just allow continuous movement of air. So areas in your home that might be a bit more stagnant, that air is moving to get to that ventilation above your stove or in your bathroom, and then out the door it goes to help keep us healthy in the home. Adding air purifiers and humidifiers to the home also helps with that ventilation. The portable HEPA air filters help with filtration. Humidifiers help relieve that dry air problem that I spoke about earlier, putting some moisture back into the air that you're breathing, which puts moisture back into your nasal passages and upper respiratory, which allows us to catch those little critters and those germs before they head inside. So that really helps as well. Helps build up and keep intact our first line of defense for upper respiratory infections. And then, of course, as I mentioned, disinfecting those high traffic surfaces, doorknobs, light switches, countertops, faucet handles, especially if someone in the home is ill, but it's also just a great preventative all around. Daylight savings time. Well, this is the one I think that gets me the most. And if you're not feeling it already, bless you, because I have already found that at 7 p.m. I am ready to be in my jammies and be in the bed. There's no doubt about that. So the time change, daylight savings time is on Sunday, November 2nd, 2025. This year, we will fall back 1 hour. That does impact our circadian rhythm. And although we gain an hour of sleep, they say ending daylight savings times does have an impact on us in multiple ways. First, our internal clock does have to reset. It may only seem like an hour, but as we are adjusting to that time, the sun is continuing to set earlier and earlier. So we're adjusting to the hour, and then the sun is still changing when it's setting out there. So it's kind of a dual adjustment. In the beginning of this fall season, the sun sets around 6 p.m., but come late fall, it's going to set as early as 4:50. So some of us that are working during the day, we're going to be headed out of the workplace. We head to the workplace, it's dark. We leave the workplace, it's dark. That definitely has an impact on us. December 7th is going to be our shortest day of this year, which is 2 weeks ahead of the winter solstice or the start of winter, which is December 21st. As we all know, when the sun sets at 4:50, whew, it's hard. It's hard to feel like we need to stay awake, until a reasonable bedtime hour, maybe 9 p.m. or so. The combination of the early sunsets, increasingly cold temperatures, and decreased activity is absolutely going to impact our overall well-being. Seasonal affective disorder, also known as SAD, is a type of clinical depression that does occur during fall and winter when there are fewer daylight hours. SAD Awareness Month is actually observed in December and aims to raise awareness of seasonal affective disorder. So, symptoms of that includes fatigue, low mood, oversleeping, difficulty concentrating, and an increased appetite. And just thinking about those symptoms, some of us will experience those here and there. Some of us really struggle with these. And if you are already working with some of those symptoms, they could really be impacted this time of year. I feel we may all be able to relate to a symptom or two of those, and there are many things that we can do to stay healthy and happy during these colder months. First, increase your awareness of how your body responds to the time change, the sun setting earlier. Like I said, I know these cold air really gets right to my bones and hurts my soul. Like it's just cold. So I'm really aware of how it impacts me so that I can be responsive to that. Tailor your health plan to your unique needs. Whatever your response is during this time of year, the awareness is first and foremost so that you can then modify maybe your day, your evenings, and your routines to combat that or be proactive and prevent some of those symptoms or feelings to arise. Establish a routine for scheduled meals, activity, and sleep. We often want to stop moving and curl up early. There are plenty of available hours still to get physical and mental activities in, even though the sun has gone down, believe it or not. We don't have to just climb into bed then. We can still get outside. That may not be at 7 p.m. when it's dark and frigid, but maybe during the day when you're up working or running your errands, you take a little bit of a lunch break or some kind of pause in your day to get outside while the sun is up, temperatures are manageable, to get that good vitamin D in. and get that shining sun on your face while you can. Social interactions, those are also a great way to spend time connecting and learning. Schedule video calls with families and friends. That's a great way to stay connected when you really can't get outside or you want to avoid that travel that could cause illness. Join online platforms that align with your interests and hobbies or new hobbies. Indoor hobbies and activities definitely could include things like arts and crafts, reading, and I know we all love dancing in the living room when no one's looking, right? But there are so many online opportunities in this day and age to get engaged, both mentally and physically. It's just a great outlet when we find ourselves feeling like we're stuck inside. Stress of the holidays. Oh boy, as if increased illness and decreased sunlight isn't enough. The challenge to overcome in this time of year, we also start that holiday season for many. And although the holiday season is meant to be a time full of joy and laughter and togetherness, it often does bring in increased stress, anxiety, and maybe even sadness. According to the American Psychological Association, nearly 90% of adults say the holiday season does bring about additional stress. Some as far to even say that it interferes with their ability to enjoy the holidays. So that's very real emotions that we may experience. These feelings can become more intense if you're already dealing with anxieties or sadness. Sharing those feelings with others can be a great way to work through those challenges that you're facing. And although it could be hard to share feelings, close friends and families are going to want to help and support. So it's a great thing to do. Some of the stress factors I have listed here that might come around the holidays, financial concerns, finding that perfect gift for that perfect someone, time constraints, and then missing loved ones that maybe are no longer here with us, but or maybe they also live far away and we just can't get together like we used to. So again, sharing those feelings and those stressors with people that are near and dear to you can help work through some of those feelings and maybe remind you of some of the joys and some of the togetherness and times that we have that are more positive areas to focus on. But it's also a great time to identify and manage expectations to help keep us both physically and mentally healthy. Is there such a thing as a perfect gift, right? When we're talking about manage expectations. Maybe, but typically, well, you can't go wrong with a heartfelt gift or giving someone the gift of time. And we often forget that maybe that is the best gift to give and relieves you of some of those stressors and pressures of finding that perfect gift to put in a box. Speaking of time, don't overcommit. This is the time of year that can be overwhelming. Shopping, holiday events, family gatherings, store closure hours, work engagements, if you have that, right? Lots of demands in a small period of time. Identify the events and the gatherings that are most important to you and prioritize your day, your weekends, your calendar so that you're able to get to those events that really are important to you. That is a very fulfilling thing to be able to be where you want to be when you want to be there. It's okay to say no or shorten your stay at some other events so that you do have times and moments to be where you want to be. And then just take moments while you're there to take it all in and enjoy what you have around you. It's amazing how just taking 5, 10 seconds in a moment can really fulfill you and fill your heart with a lot of joy. Volunteering, this can also be a very fulfilling way, especially around the holidays, to connect with those around you, especially if loved ones are far away. Volunteering with a group or an organization that has some kind of meaning to a loved one that you can't be with in that holiday could be a great way to feel connected to them and give back to the community all at the same time. So that is also a really fulfilling way mentally to help work through and beyond the stressors and anxieties of the holidays is by giving back in a way that is uh, instrumental to you. Although the holiday season can be a time of increased stress and anxiety, it can also be that opportunity to get engaged also in tradition and even start new ones. That's always fun to start a new tradition with the family, the kids, the grandkids, whoever that may be. Although stress is on the rise during the holiday season, Many find it to be worth it and manageable when they focus on what the season is meant to bring and the joy that it does provide. And of course, during the holiday season, we find ourselves with increased food intake. This is definitely something that gets to me every single time when winter comes. The cold weather brings on that desire to eat hot foods that are often dense, and possibly dense in all the unhealthy areas, such as salt, carbs, fats. Right? When we talk about our sweets and our desserts and our cobblers and all the things. They soothe the soul while they put us at risk for weight gain and negative health conditions. Yeah, we do have to at least acknowledge that that's a possibility. A balanced diet during the winter months can help combat against this. Whole grains, lean proteins, fruits, and vegetables can positively increase mood and energy levels. Great way to stay healthy. Identifying our risk factors here, of course, increased food take could happen because of increased boredom, because we're inside more often and less travel. That sadness that we talked about, right? Sometimes we find comfort in food when we're sad. It's a friend that's always there. Those comfort foods that we probably, we've maybe all have that one recipe, that one food that we store that recipe away, spring, summer, fall. But man, when winter hits, I'm pulling that recipe out and I'm making that comfort food and I'm eating it every day, every week, all winter long, for sure. And then holiday meals, like we had mentioned. Subtle changes can help in our diet to help keep us both mentally and physically strong during the seasonal changes. Some of those subtle changes can be lean meats inside that homemade chili or low sodium broths inside that vegetable soup and whole grains where a recipe may allow. Portion control is also a key to success. An overloaded plate on Thanksgiving may be forgiven, right? By you, family, everybody around. Like, we're not judging. Go back for seconds. Like, it's all good. But if we continue to have overloaded plates November through February, our waistline's probably not going to be so forgiving when we get into the springtime, which follows winter always, right? So we got to be prepared for that. Really understand that that does put us at some health risks that we should stay knowledgeable of and combat when we can. As discussed earlier, staying active by engaging in hobbies, incorporating exercise, and or volunteering time are great ways to stay moving to help also keep those excess pounds off as we indulge in some of these comfort foods. As much as we want to hibernate in the winter, we can also stay warm with movement. All the heat doesn't have to come from being in our sweats and under our blankets. I have incorporated here on this slide just an example um, of a recipe that could be a great health alternative when we talk about warm foods. Soup is a great comfort food of choice for cooler weather. We can see here that this recipe has got vegetables, squash, and a lot of good flavoring in it. Easy directions to make at home are there on the right-hand side. And this is just an example of many soups, chilies, crock pot recipes that you could find out there for great healthy choice while also providing comfort and warmth to both the heart and soul. All right, so staying strong during seasonal shifts isn't always easy. And I'm the first one to say, as I was working on this, I was thinking of all things I could do differently myself as we head into these months. So there are many ways we can combat the chill, staying knowledgeable about the flu and COVID season when those peak, and ways to stay on top of our infection control, increasing those practices, hand washing, disinfecting, avoiding contact with those that are ill, or just a few of those ways we could stay strong. If you're staying indoors, increasing your exposure to the sun during the day and increasing the ventilation in the home and changing out our filters, opening doors and windows when possible, turning on those fans and vent systems, and adding that humidifier are also great ways to help combat ways we could become ill. Increasing our activities and our hobbies, maintaining social interactions also help combat those desires, maybe to hibernate through those winter and colder months, which could exacerbate sadness, weight gain, some of those undesirables. And overall awareness, though, is the first step in really devising a plan to stay strong through the seasonal shifts. Making a plan that fits how you respond to these seasonal changes and what's manageable and attainable for you is where you want to start. As the stressors and stuff come, we can follow those plans that we put in place that will bring about a feel good, both mentally and physically, that will keep us motivated. Before you know it, spring will have sprung. The icicles fade away, the warm breeze comes, the flowers start to bloom, and spring will be back again. As it draws near, maybe we can find ourselves together again talking about how to stay strong during seasonal allergies. But we look forward to getting through these fall and winter cold months, staying strong both mentally and physically, and really being ready to enjoy the spring with the best of ourselves that we can be. I thank you for your time today, and surely we'll open it up to any questions that we may have.
Thank you so much, Amanda. What a wonderful presentation. I'm falling into wellness, and you hear that word sad disorder, and you don't even think about the way the body reacts to the seasonal changes. I think that was a very important point that you brought up. Being prepared for time changes. We always hear those cliche things about falling back, but hearing that the body rhythm actually is impacted and that may cause the things we feel. The questions that I've seen so far, Amanda, is just talking a little bit more and distinct about that rhythm of the body and that seasonal change. You mentioned some dates in there to remember too, as well. And I want to make sure that the audience and the participants get those dates so that when you may feel a change, it may not just be an illness, it may be just the effect of the body trying to adjust to those seasons. Thank you again, Amanda, for sharing this with us. And I'll allow you to please answer that question, and I'll look for others as you do.
Thank you, Miss Cleo, for sure. And I'll be happy to talk about that because, like I said, it is one of the things that really impacts me is when that sun starts to go down earlier. So, some of the dates that I mentioned, November 2nd, that's daylight savings time for 2025. So, that's when we will set our clocks back 1 hour. 2 a.m., we set it backwards. So, it's a middle of the night type of occurrence, which leads us to believe we're getting an hour more of sleep. But when we talk about circadian rhythm, one of the interesting things is sure, the clock got set back an hour, but what time do you wake up? You're naturally going to wake up what it seems to be the same time that you always wake up. So your rhythm of your body is going to wake you up about the same time, and then it's going to take you mentally and physically a few days to adjust to the fact that you really don't need to get up at that time. And a lot of us probably for the first few days after the time change goes, well, it's really only this time, right? Like a lot of us do that. Like I know the clock says it's 8 a.m., but it's really 9 a.m. And it takes us a little bit of time to adjust to that. And that's that circadian rhythm that your body is fighting. It's gotten acclimated to the times we've been adjusted to during daylight savings time, and now it's got to acclimate back. Some of the other things you might notice with circadian rhythm that people maybe don't relate to this, but very much so is a thing, is um, me, like naturally, I'm an early bird. I'm a morning person. I wake up, I roll out of bed, and I'm ready to run, put my running shoes on and go. I perform best the first 4 hours of the day. Now, when we get to 2 p.m., it doesn't matter if I ate or not. I'm naturally sleepy. My body wants to slow down. If I had opportunity to nap, maybe I would. And then it's about 4 or 5 p.m. that I really starting to kind of liven up again. That's part of my body's natural circadian rhythm. Those are my body's natural high and low energy times. But if you sit my brother next to me, that's a whole different story. He'll sleep till noon, doesn't want to be bothered till 1, stays up till 2, 3 in the morning. I'm asleep by 10. So that's what I'm talking about with circadian rhythms. And even just the adjustment of 1 hour's time can really put a kink in that and cause you to feel your body having to shift and adjust. And then with the sun setting on top of the time changing, that sun setting moving back earlier and earlier in the day, we then have to adjust to that too because our body looks outside and sees it's dark and it thinks, oh, must be bedtime, right? Must be time to settle down and it's really only 5 o'clock. We might still have dinner to make for the family. If we have kids that are in sports or after school activities, we still have to tend to those. We might have errands that we're running for family members we're taking care of. You might have your own errands to run. Holiday shopping. It's going to happen in the dark, probably. So our body does have to adjust to that. Some of the other dates I mentioned, September 7th, that's when we will get that earliest sunset of 4:50 p.m. So that first week of December, that's when we're really going to have those short afternoons and we'll really be feeling that. And then winter comes and joins us on December 21st.
Thank you, Amanda, again. What a wonderful presentation. And thank you for helping all of us be prepared for the five seasonal shifts. And we are looking for that spring to spring back and be prepared for allergies. Everyone, thank you for your attendance. Please plan to join us and look forward to enjoy our next RUI Informed webinar. And we could not have done this without our RUI fellow today. Again, thank you, Amanda. Thank you for everyone participating, and we hope everyone is prepared now to see those changes, know what the five seasonal shifts are, and we hope to see you again in November. Thank you. Have a great night. Bye bye.